Hello everybody and welcome back to Blanche Fitness. It's Tuesday and you know what that means. It's time for Perpetual Motion, the class where we never stop moving, and it is also the first day of April Powers. I told you I'd come up with a catchy name for it eventually. Yes, April Powers. We are officially doing another month-long program structure. We haven't done this since October, so I'm super excited. So basically the goal of the next month is we're going to be doing the same program each week, but we're going to be ramping up the intensity either by upping the number of reps or upping the length of the workout timers, stuff like that. And oh my goodness, I am really excited. Yay! Thank you for resubscribing. Or I would be really excited if I wasn't battling a tension headache right now. So it's not, the most auspicious start to this month, but we're going to get through it. We're going to get through it, my friends, because I missed 2 days of exercise last week and I am feeling it. Wow. It's been rough. It's been rough. Although officially got my first course of the vaccine. Super exciting. 7 hours in the car. That was less exciting. But yes, I'm on my way. And I didn't really have any side effects aside from the muscle soreness. That was why I canceled on Saturday, because it was, intense enough that I was like, I'm not going to be able to even slightly demonstrate exercises. No, I did not drive to the moon, but I did drive to Pueblo, which might as well be on the moon. But yeah, other than that, I didn't have any major side effects, which was really exciting. I am hearing that dose number 2 is where people are really getting their side effects. So, we'll see what happens. But yeah. I was very pleased about that, but I definitely felt the effect of not having 2 days worth of class. It's a nice reminder of how much of an impact exercise has on my overall mental health, but it also sucks. And then having a tension headache today sucks as well. So yeah, it's going to be a weird class. Obviously, I'm going to be trying to do everything. Because that's what I've been trying to do, and I want to be able to ramp up along with you all. But yeah, if I slow down today, if I am not able to do everything in its entirety, you'll understand why. But you know what? It's still going to be an awesome class. I'm really excited about this program. I think it's going to be super fun for us to do over the course of the month. But yeah, if you remember Rocktober, which was also super fun, then hopefully you've been looking forward to this. I like this structure because it gives us the opportunity to follow the exact same program over a bunch of weeks and feel the increases in our strength and our power and our stamina and our speed week over week. And then at the very end of the month, well, we finish the month, so we ramp up for 4 weeks, and then the 5th week we will go back and do this first week's version again so that you can feel the difference. And it's really remarkable, when you get to the end of the month and our intervals are all 1 minute, and you're crushing it, and then you go back and you're like, okay, now I'm going to do the same program, but all the intervals are 30 seconds. I have absolutely got this. It's just really exciting. So that's the goal. It's a really nice opportunity for us to get a clearer object lesson in how we improve over the course of a month. And yeah, I'm going to try and do this structure once a quarter. So we've got Rocktober, and we've now got April Powers. And, so I just have to come up with 2 other pithy names at some point. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We've got time, obviously. We have to get through this one first, so. But yes, I hope you all are having a good beginning to your week. Yeah, I apologize if I'm a little lower energy today. It's been really rough. I don't necessarily get migraines, but I do get tension headaches that I carry most of my tension in my neck. And when it builds up enough, it just starts going right up into my skull. It causes a lot of intensity. So I will probably, even as I'm sitting here and going, yeah, I want to do everything, I'll probably have to take it a little bit easier today, sadly. But it's okay, because we're here and we're going to kick off. And as I'm always reminding you, the bare minimum is going to give me more than enough of a workout. So for anyone who is new to Perpetual Motion, hello, welcome. This is an exciting time for you to join the class. The tagline of the class is the class where we never stop moving, or the half marathon of HIIT classes. And what that means is where usually we would finish a workout timer and the last horn would go off. Pardon me, there's 2 very bright lights in my face, and that sometimes causes me to sneeze. Yeah, where normally we would get to the end of a timer, we'd hear that last horn and we'd be able to stand around and chill and drink water. What we do in Perpetual Motion when we hear that final horn go off in a workout timer is we go into our active rest exercise, which for this class is cross jacks. And I demonstrate that when it becomes relevant if you are new, but it is a very simple exercise. Kind of related to, it's a cousin of the jumping jack, essentially, is how I describe it. But yes, so from the time that we start the warm-up to the time that we finish our last sequence, we are moving the whole time. So this class is about stamina, and it's about managing your energy output so that you can do all of the exercises and continue to move the whole time. And that's why I use the analogy of the half marathon or any sort of extended race, because your goal in a race like that is to keep moving the whole time. And you are not going to be moving at the same rate of speed the whole time, because that's not possible. And you don't want to blow through all of your energy at the very beginning of the race, because then you'll have nothing left to get to the end of it. So we really have to think about how we're managing our energy, how much energy we're putting in. And that's another thing that you will see change over the course of the month. You will start to feel more energy to work with, all right? And I got started late and I'm talking long, which means that we should probably get class started. Oh my goodness, my friends, let's do our pre-class checklist. Make sure you've got your water, especially if you're dealing with a headache. And make sure you've drunk some of it. Make sure it's full. Yep, there we go. There we go. Make sure you've got your comfy clothes on, whatever that means to you. You've got your mat or mat-sized space on the floor. And if you use a fitness wearable, now is the time to turn it on to high-intensity interval training, or a similar setting. I don't know your life. I use the Apple Watch, so high intensity interval training is just a setting on it, which is nice and convenient. Okay. Yeah. Friends, this is going to be a weird stream for me, but we're going to make it through. If I have to stop actively doing class during this, I apologize, but you know that I'm here. I'm going to get you through it. I'm going to demonstrate everything, and it is going to be a really fun class. I am really excited about it, even if I don't get to do the whole thing today. Curses. All right, so everybody is ready, right? Everybody's ready. It's a beautiful rainy day out here in Colorado, which I know not everybody loves rainy days, but I do. And, it's a dry state, so I also just appreciate rain. All right, so let's get our warm-up started. Same warm-up for all of my classes, which is nice and convenient. And remember, once we begin this warm-up, we do not stop moving for the rest of class. So also make sure that your water bottle is somewhere within reach of standing position, so you're not having to like lean over to the floor and try and pick it up, okay? You want to make that as simple as possible. So let's get started on our mats, on our backs, 1 foot crossed over the opposite knee, and as soon as we hear that horn go off, we will begin with hip rocks and bridges. There we go. So we always talk about the warm-up as a time when we do not want to just sprint out of the gate. That becomes doubly important here in perpetual motion class. So we are really just starting to move our bodies in ways that will let our brains and our muscles know that it's time to work out. So, you know, the goal of this is not to rock your hips up as high as they possibly can go or bridge them up as high as they possibly can go. The point of this is really just to start activating some of those muscle groups, and just let the whole system know that, hey, we're here to work out, and so we need to start getting ready to send those signals. All right, switch feet. Getting ready to send those signals to our muscle fibers, getting ready to start up the energy production systems so that we can start breaking down stored fuel supplies into usable energy and all that fun stuff. So I'm just, you know, activating my core, contracting those muscles to help lift those hips, and then doing that nice bridge from the ball of my foot. All right, I'm not keeping the foot flat on the floor when I bridge up. I bring myself up onto the ball and then bridge the hips up like that. All right. And when we rock the hips up here, we're getting a nice little stretch in the hip socket because we're sort of pulling this leg apparatus closer to our chest, similar to a pigeon stretch. All right. Now for our leg sequence, we start with Jane Fonda. So we are lying in a nice straight line, all right? If you have difficulty telling whether your body is actually in a straight line, then use an aid, like, say, the edge of your mat, okay? And just line yourself up against it. And once you are along that and you're like, okay, well, you know, this is a straight line edge of the mat, so clearly I'm in a straight line, then start to memorize how that feels, right? Start to pay attention to how that positioning feels so that later you can get into that position without needing the assistance, all right? This is how we train ourselves to have a better spatial awareness of where our limbs are in space. All right, top foot flat on the floor, in front of that bottom knee, lifting that bottom leg, and making sure that this knee is pointing straight up at the ceiling, is nice and pulled back. So if I was to squat, that knee would go straight over the foot, okay? So this is our first opportunity to start training ourselves in that nice, strong squat form. And it's a nice low risk opportunity because if your knee starts caving forward here, I mean, you're not putting any pressure on it, so it's not the end of the world. But that also means that this is exactly the time to practice how we pull that knee back into that position. And depending on your hip flexibility, you may not really have to engage too much additional musculature to get your knee here. I certainly don't on this side. We'll see the difference when we switch over to the other side, all right? All right, top foot behind the bottom knee, still lifting that bottom leg. So now we're in our beach pose and we are just super chill. We don't have to worry about balancing on our sides because we've got this nice foot here. We don't have to worry about pulling the knee back, because this is an easier position, just sort of set the leg. So we don't have to worry about our hips rolling forwards or backwards. We can really just concentrate on lifting that leg and noticing all of the different muscle groups that go into that engagement, all right? All right, so really just focus in, and you know, there's the obvious inner thigh muscles that are doing the lion's share of the work, but you're also going to feel some engagement in the lower abdominals helping to pull that leg up. You're also going to feel along the quads there. So just a good time to start noticing all the different muscles that go into even a simple seaming movement. All right, we're on our second side, going through the same 3 exercises, starting with Jane, okay? So how does this feel on this side? It is a little bit of a balanced position. Not, you know, not a major one, but you're balancing on your hip, which is a ball and socket joint, so it's not like a nice flat surface to balance on. So having your core engaged is going to help you maintain that balance and help you to control the positioning of that leg. And you want to make sure that you're engaging the glute on the working leg so that the leg's not drifting forward as you lift it, okay? You don't want to pull it back though, that's overcorrecting. So you're looking for that nice sweet spot, that Goldilocks spot. All right, so foot on the floor in front of that bottom knee. So on this side, I don't have the same hip flexibility, so my knee naturally tries to cave forward like this. So I have to engage more of the musculature in the back of my hip joint to pull that knee backwards and go, all right, here I am, and I'm engaging that hip, pulling that knee, keeping it there in that nice, safe position, all right? And this is the kind of stuff that I have to think about when I'm standing and doing a squat position so that I can make sure that I am keeping my knee safely over the foot, all right? So like I said, this is a great place to start practicing that because I don't need to worry about putting pressure on the knee because I'm not standing on it right now. It's just chilling, all righty? And back to our beach pose. Speaking of chilling, this is a nice way to end it out. We don't have to really worry too much about what's going on. We can just relax and chill right here. Imagine that you're on a beach somewhere. I haven't been to the beach in, God, a couple of years, which is a weird thing to think about. But I haven't gone home to Maui in a while, so yeah, that's generally where I go to the beach. So hopefully sometime in the next year, assuming all goes well with vaccination and actually getting this pandemic at least slightly under control. Please don't stop taking safety precautions, my friends. We are not out of the woods. Even if you're vaccinated, we still need the safety precautions, all right? We don't just throw them out the window just because we've had the shots. All right, now we're moving into opening up our backs and our hips. So we start with our scorpion twists to get a nice twist into our lower to mid back. And we're keeping these elbows glued to the floor, okay? They do not lift for any reason. So our goal is to get our foot flat on the floor and the knee pointing up towards the ceiling. That is the goal. But if you can't do that without the elbow coming up like this, then you can't go that far yet, and that's fine, okay? If you're only able to go here on each side, that's totally fine. You use the elbows as a way to keep yourself safe in terms of how far you're trying to go, and as a nice marker of how your flexibility is improving. All right, now we stand, we take our imaginary PVC pipes, and we start doing our nice big torso rotations. I want you to change directions every couple of rotations. because we're only doing this for one timer interval. So you need to make sure that you're evening yourself out. Alrighty? So even yourself out, and remember that we are initiating the circle from our hips. Okay? So we are not moving our arms and trying to follow behind. We're not diving down with our heads. We are almost taking a flat back over from the hips. You get a little bit of a curve as you come through the bottom position, but the whole circle is generated and moved by the hips. And now, still holding that imaginary pipe, and we have our first intro to squats. So all that stuff that we were talking about, knee positioning, when we were doing our leg sequence, now that is actually important. So make sure that your knees are not caving in towards one another as you go down into the squat or come back up, all right? Sometimes you can get down into the position fine, but as you try to stand, they try to cave towards each other. If they're caving in towards each other at any point, just narrow the position and get right back into it, all right? And you can practice there until you feel strong enough that you go back to the wider position and see how that feels, okay? So now we put down our imaginary pipes and we start doing our Samson stretches. So this is a nice stretch for opening up the front of the hip flexor, which needs love, especially if you have a job that has you sitting or standing all day. Then your hip flexor could use some love. So we just take this nice, deep lunge position. I bring my arms up towards the ceiling. I'm not actively trying to reach behind me. So you'll see a curve in my back just by virtue of the position I'm taking, but I'm not trying to intensify that. I'm just looking straight ahead of me, keeping my hips pointing forward the whole time, not letting them open out, okay? And back and forth. All right. Now into our nice wide lunge position or squat position. Hands on the knees, and we twist first one shoulder in towards the midline and then the other. And we just go back and forth. So the only things moving are our shoulders here, right? We are not coming up and down out of the squat. We're not letting our knees chase after our shoulders. We're holding in this position and just getting that nice twist in the upper spine, all right? So our scorpion twists hit the lower to mid back. Now we're getting the upper back in on the party. And then after this, we will enter into the final phase of the warm-up. Everybody's favorite, cardio, starting with jumping jacks. So we're doing nice chill jumping jacks. We are just here doing bare minimum because again, we're not ramped up to 100% energy output. We're still in the warm-up. So we're still booting up systems, okay? So we don't want to be here pushing for max energy. So I'm just doing small jumps. I'm keeping my elbows super bent, and I'm just booting up my cardiovascular system. So letting my breath start to come a little quicker, feeling my heart rate go up a little bit. My heart's going, all right, I need to move that blood and that oxygen more quickly through my system. All right, now kick throughs. Everybody's favorite. Remember, for kick throughs, we can go very slowly and deliberately from side to side, okay? We don't have to ramp up the speed first, all right? So we want to make sure the form's there. Shoulder directly over wrist. Opposite leg as standing leg, 90-degree angle, knee pointing up towards the ceiling. Kick that foot out and then change in the center and over to the other side. So we can start nice and slowly, side to side, and eventually you can get more speed in. You can add a little hop in the center, but you don't have to rush to that now. All right, last but certainly not least are our burpees. And you want to make sure that you're doing a wave push-up, okay? And a nice big victory clap up at the top. So we're finishing out the warm-up, but remember, we are not stopping moving at the end of the timer. Instead, we will go immediately into cross jacks, which is our active rest exercise, okay? So just, again, everything is a negotiation of how much energy you are using versus how much energy you need to hold back. All right, so cross jacks, just like that. Super simple. We jump the feet out and then in, cross one in front of the other, out and in, opposite foot forward. Same thing with the arms, like this. And if you need a modification, you can just kick the feet forward while doing the arms, or you can just go side to side. But make sure, no matter what, that you are drinking your water, okay? That's why we want to make sure that it is within reach of a standing position. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be taking today's class super easy. I'm not sure how much of it I will honestly be able to do, but that's okay, because y'all are here and y'all are crushing it. And me, well, I'm serving as an object lesson that, yeah, we need to listen to our bodies. I feel like I've had a lot of serving as an object lesson this past month, which is tiring. It's been a tiring month, my friends. I know that I've been struggling with my mental health a lot, and that's certainly not made things easier, and I'm sure that many of you know how that feels. It's a rough time. It's a weird time. March had a lot of very sad anniversaries, and April's got some too. So if you're going through it right now, I understand. And if all you can do today is get on the mat and do 25% of class, that is exercise that you hadn't done an hour ago, okay? And that's what I want you to remember. I know I talk about this all the time, but like, you know, usually I sort of base it at if you can only do the bare minimum for class, and that's a great way to go. But you know what? Sometimes we can barely even do that. Sometimes, even though it's a perpetual motion class, we do not have that in us. But getting on the mat and doing something is better than not doing anything, okay? It is going to be healthier for you, is going to give you some of that mental health benefit, some of that physical benefit, and I am so proud of you, okay? Even if all you are able to do is literally, you know, the warm-up, that's a good exercise. That's a good little burst of 16 minutes of workout, okay? And I don't ever want you to get down on yourself for not being able to do the whole class, okay? I will push for that because that's my job, and because we all can do that. Absolutely, we all have that capacity, but not all the time. Even I don't, and I'm the fitness professional. So just keep that in mind. You know what? You got on the mat today, and that is a win. Whether you tap out after the warm-up, whether you go the whole hour, or whether you have to stop and start during it, you got on the mat today, and you should be really proud. All right? All right. So what's this going to look like this month? It's going to be a lot of perpetual motion sets. So today, we're doing all 30-second intervals, and we are going to be doing 2 exercises and going back and forth because I've been really liking that over the last couple of months. So the first set, our exercises, we are going to have London bridges, which if you haven't done that before, we start in our nice front plank position, and we bring one hip almost all the way down to the floor, and then back to the plank, and then other hip almost all the way down to the floor, and then back to the plank. And we just go back and forth and back and forth. What the heck? Oh, someone's trying to call me. So yeah, it's a nice core exercise. And then second exercise is going to be chaturanga to downward dog. So starting front plank from the hands, shoulders directly over wrists. We come down as if we're doing a push-up. When you're almost all the way to the ground, leave the hips behind but extend the arms, and then push back against the hands into that downward dog, and then back to plank, down, up, and back. Okay? So those are our 2 exercises, and we're just going back and forth. And remember, of course, because this is perpetual motion, when the timer goes off, we just have to switch as quickly as possible to the next exercise. So you're on your mat, you're cross-jacking away like this, and then as soon as that timer goes off, we come immediately down as quickly as we can, and we start doing our London bridges. All right, so you're gonna feel a lot of engagement in your abdominal muscles, okay? And that's what we want. So I'm not resting my hip all the way against the floor. I am bringing it down and lifting it up. And then going into our chaturanga to downward dog. These will be pretty easy exercises to move between because we are not shifting planes. You're not having to get up from the floor. You're really just staying in a plank position, basically. And then right back into the London bridges, okay? So, today is the day for getting a sense of what the exercises are going to be over the next month, okay? We are going to have these exact same exercises every single week, okay? And what's going to change is the length of the interval. So make sure that you're really committing this to memory. And as we go through the month, you will have to spend far less brain power figuring out what's happening next, because it's going to be the same thing each time, and you'll be able to really focus in on how do I up my power, up my intensity, and demonstrate to myself that my overall stamina is increasing, because that's really what we're going for here. We are going for increased stamina. So when we talk about, making sure that we are
holding back enough energy that we are able to keep moving for the entirety of class. We also need to make sure that, well, we don't need to make sure. Wrong phrasing. We also want to keep testing ourselves as we go to go, all right, do I have to hold back that much energy, or can I put more of it into my exercises? Okay? So that's the thing that we're going to be testing ourselves on over the course of the month. And one of the things that you will notice is that as you go along, you will be able to put more intensity into the exercises. Even in a class like this, where you're moving the whole time, you're still going to build up that baseline level of exertion that you need to hit to get through class. That amount is going to be easier and easier for you. And as it gets easier, you can up where you are and where your baseline is. So you get to keep upping your baseline, upping your intensity, and that's what we're really going to focus on over the course of this month. All right, stand back up and back into your cross jacks. All right. And make sure you're drinking water, my friends. It is so important. So very important. I'm really excited about this class once I feel more comfortable doing the whole damn thing. All right. Yeah. So we're going to be doing a lot of perpetual motion sets with a couple of switching it up at the end. But our next set, 2 exercises, and we're going to be alternating sides for these. And that will make sense in a second. So first exercise is going to be split squats, where I start, most of my weight is on my front leg. My back leg is behind me and I'm sort of up on the ball of the foot. And I don't want the foot directly behind the front foot. You want to imagine those skis. And I'm going to come down into a squat and up and down and up. It's really a double leg lunge. But that is the split squat. And then the other exercise is going to be side plank from the elbow. So shoulder directly over elbow, so we get that nice 90-degree angle, legs extended, hips up towards the ceiling, other arm up towards the ceiling. And so each time you're going to change the side. So when we come back to the second time around on our split squats, you want to make sure that you have your other leg forward, okay? So you're going to have to pay attention to that as you go through this. So we got split squats and we've got side plank from the elbow. And those are our 2 exercises. So as soon as you hear that horn, we go immediately into split squats. We're not dropping the knee to the ground, okay? Again, you want to keep that knee at least an inch off the ground. And we're just going down and up and down and up. And make sure that you're engaging that core, alrighty? That's going to help you maintain the balance. And then immediately down into our side plank. So we want to visualize a string coming up, attached to our hip, pulling our hip up towards the ceiling. Same thing with our fingertips of the arm that's extending upwards. A string that's pulling those fingers, that arm up towards the ceiling. All right, and that's just going to help you maintain the position. And then standing right up and going into the second side. All right, so we want to make sure that we're going back and forth. You're not just putting the same foot forward each time. You're not just planking from the same arm each time. You want to even yourself out. You don't want to be Popeye on one side and have no strength or stamina on the other, okay? All right, so second plank. So you're on the second side for that plank. And remember, with our held positions, super important to breathe. Don't hold your breath, that's not going to help you. It's easier in 30-second sets. You don't have as much time to get uncomfortable, right? But as we extend, you're going to need to keep that in mind. All right, second, well, I guess back to the first side. I'm doing my second side because I'm not doing all of the sets right now. And I'm just holding my hands in front of me, just clasped up at my chest. If this was a free weights class, I'd be holding a dumbbell or a kettlebell here, okay? And just doing that. Now, down and side plank. Always remember, when you're figuring out the fastest way to get from the exercise you're currently doing to the exercise you need to get to, don't always follow my lead, because I have an additional criteria, which is making sure that I am facing the camera. And so I am not always going to be taking the most efficient path. But you should. So make sure that you're calculating this for yourself and not just copying what you see me do, because sometimes I will flip around in a very ungainly way and chew up a couple of seconds just because I want to be pointing myself towards the camera. Alrighty? All right, I believe this is your last run, last side plank. So breathing, holding that position, all those core muscles engaged, that string pulling up, pulling your hip up towards the ceiling like there's a puppet master up here, just pulling, keeping that hip away from the floor, and back to cross jacks. All right, so every time we finish, we scramble back up to our cross jacks, okay? All right. Yeah. Oh, fun. This fun stuff. I like this. I'm excited for this class. All right. This is going to be a good month, my friends. Even on the days when we're frustrated because we can't go as full out as we want to. And believe me, I'm frustrated today that I can't go as full out as I want to. But you know what? It's okay, because I'm on the mat and I'm doing something. And that is where I need to start. All right. So next set, we're going to have another 2 exercises. One of them is going to be the same as our last set, where we're going to have to make sure that we are changing which side we do it on. And that's going to be extended crunches. So we're going to take one arm, so I'm lying on the floor on my back, one arm extended above my head, not lying on the floor, okay? So that shoulder's engaged and slightly lifted. And I'm going to contract my abdominals and lift the opposite leg and bring this arm to that leg, and then bring everything down almost to the floor, but not entirely. And then again, okay? So that's the extended crunch, and each time you're gonna have to change which side you do, okay? And then second exercise is gonna be side to side planks. So different from what we just did. These to the side, come to one side, hold here for a second, let the judges see it, then down through that front plank and to the other side. And we just go back and forth and back and forth. All right? So extended crunches and side to side planks. Let's get that timer going. Do. Remember, always starting from the cross jacks. And really important to be contracting those abdominals, okay? Making sure that that is what is driving the lift of the leg, driving the lift of the arm, all right? And you should feel it all the way down the obliques. All right, and now for our side-to-side planks, a really awesome shoulder strengthening exercise. You know how much I love them. It's just a great exercise and one that I credit with really helping me to improve my own shoulder strength and stamina. All right, second side for those extended crunches. So make sure that you're alternating. All right, we don't want to do the same side each time. And I know this adds an element of memory that we don't usually have to think about in class. So that'll be an additional training piece, having to hold that info in your head so that each time you come back around to those extended crunches, you remember what side you did last, and from there you perceive what side you need to do next, okay? And that's the big thing. That's the big thing. And that is an important skill, you know? That's the skill that allows us to count the number of toe squat reps we're doing when we're doing some good old toe squats. So yeah, a good thing for us to start to build up is just remembering what we've already done so that we know what we have left to do. And that is easier said than done when we're exercising, because we are moving our bodies and we're fatiguing ourselves and we're running through energy, and there's just a lot of intensity and a lot of chemicals running through the body, and so it can be a lot harder for us to maintain that focus, okay? So just another good thing for us to pay attention to as we train and as we get better. So, all right, last time through. So, second side for those extended crunches, hopefully. Hopefully that's what you're doing right now. And then we will have our final run through of our side-to-side planks. Always remembering the side-to-side planks are very much a slow and steady. They're not an exercise that we need to rush on. We are really focusing on the strength and the stability in the shoulders rather than, gotta go fast, okay? We do not need to go fast. I've been watching a lot of The Flash recently, and one could be forgiven for thinking that everything has to be fast, but it doesn't. All right, up and cross-jacking, okay? And remember, there are those modifications, so you can do that or do this. Make sure you're drinking water. I know that it is harder to do that when you're moving, but if you've ever run a race before, you know about the not so subtle art of drinking water safely so that while you are exercising, so that you are not getting it down the wrong pipe and ending up coughing and choking. All right, that's our goal. We want to avoid that. All right. Woo! Okay, we got another set coming up, my friends. Another set, another set. So, our next 2 exercises. First one's going to be turtle burpees. So, not our regular burpees. We are going to rock back onto the shoulders, up onto the feet, plant those hands, jump back to that plank, then do that wave push-up, jump the feet forward. We jump up, we don't need to do the victory clap here. Just jump up and then repeat, all right? So we got turtle burpees, and then second exercise is going to be aerobic sneeze, is what I call them. So we're taking the feet about somewhere between hip and shoulder width apart. Squat down, not a huge squat, maybe 45 degrees. Squat down, bring one knee up and bring the opposite elbow to it. So I'm engaging those obliques and twisting my torso here, and then down, other side. And we're just going side to side, okay? So, turtle burpees and aerobics knees. Ooh. And I may not start this one out with you, my friends, because I'm feeling a little nauseated. But get ready, get set, and there you are, turtle burpees. Okay, and remember with the turtle exercises, you can modify if you are having trouble just rocking directly up onto your feet. You can modify by pushing up with your hand or bending one knee down. Just pay attention to your momentum, because that is going to sort of stop your momentum, and the turtle exercises are all about momentum. All right, aerobics knees, we like them because they're a nice standing core exercise. I remember seeing something similar. I think I got this from like an infomercial from one of those like exercise class VHS services from way back in the day. And it was not exactly this exercise, but similar to it. All right, second time through those turtle burpees. And they could take a second to get used to, because we are so used to doing our regular standard structure for burpees. So you may have to dedicate a little extra brain power to making sure that you're doing the right exercise, and that's fine, okay? That's totally fine. All right, and back to those aerobics knees. Yeah. How's everybody feeling? How's everybody feeling? What a good way to kick off the month. You know what? We're kicking off the month. It's not a perfect scenario. It's not exactly how I would wish it to be. But we are here and we're kicking off regardless. And that, my friends, is such an important thing to remind ourselves of. Regardless of whether we are able to really get ourselves going to the level that we want to be doing right now, we got ourselves up, we got ourselves on the mat, and we're kicking off. And that's huge. That is absolutely huge. One thing to keep in mind from a scheduling perspective this month, obviously I'm going to have my second round of shots in a couple of weeks. So that means that the Friday class for that week is probably either going to be much later than usual, or will be run on a Thursday instead of on the Friday, because I do want to make sure to run it, but given where I have to go for my second round of shots, I don't want to promise that I can do it on the Friday, because that was really rough trying I had this image in my head when I did the first one, that there was a possibility that I would get home in time to do class. And as I rolled up to the house at 9 p.m., I went, well, that was wildly never going to happen. So yeah, just keep that in mind. I will keep the Saturday morning class how it is, because by that point, y'all will know the exercises well enough that even if I'm not able to demonstrate, you'll still be able to do class. Okay, yeah. Oh man. So here's the thing I do want to say, my friends. If you are feeling, this much intensity, headache, possible nausea, stop working out, okay? And I'm going to have to tell myself that for the rest of class, because I don't know what's going on today, but it's not feeling good. But we have a tendency to try and muscle through things. We talk about that a lot in class, how we try to muscle through things and go, no, I can totally do this. There is nothing wrong with stopping and saying, okay, my body is telling me that I need to not be doing this right now, and I need to listen to it, okay? Nothing wrong with that. This is Fitness Friend giving you permission to stop if you're having that experience, okay? And also letting you know that I understand that it's a struggle, because you see me up here struggling with that. Okay, so we've got another set, 2 new exercises. First one's going to be skips. Y'all know skips at this point, just going back and forth like that. And then second exercise is going to be our bear crawl, which is a newer exercise. So we start from our downward dog position. Your feet will be a little wider than usual, so about hip width. And then I push myself forward, so my shoulders are directly over my wrists and my knees come down towards the ground, but still held above it. So at least an inch off the ground. And then back and down and back and down. All right? It's a deceptively simple exercise until you start doing it. All right? So this is our last perpetual motion set, skips and bear crawls. Let me get the timer going. So we're all here still doing our cross jacks, and then switch into the skips, okay? And skips are a pretty simple exercise. I don't usually have a ton of form notes for them. The main thing I do advocate is engaging that core, so that, because you're moving a lot of limbs around, and having that core engagement helps to keep a nice, stable center for everything to come back to and snap back to. All right, so that's just something I will always advocate. Now we're doing our bear crawls. I really like this exercise. I found it on Instagram from a really awesome fitness person who I follow. And I was like, wow, that is deceptively simple, but it really does have an impact, especially the longer you do it. So, once we're up to doing like a full minute, you're really gonna feel that one. You're absolutely gonna feel that one. Woo! All right, I'm gonna sit down and drink a little water. Well, no, I'll carry the water over here. I will pace around and drink a little water. Oh, and I definitely have not drunk enough water today. And here's the thing, my friends. There's a lot of stuff that we know is obviously really good for us and really important for us. And it's a lot of stuff that seems like it should be simple. But the world is far more complex than we wish it was. And there are plenty of reasons why keeping ourselves hydrated, remembering to drink enough water, remembering to eat healthily, remembering or being able to get up and exercise, there are plenty of reasons why all of that is not necessarily as simple as we'd like it to be. And as someone who has dealt with mental health issues for most of my life, I know how hard it can be. I get on this stream and I'm trying to maintain a baseline level of energy and excitement for you all, because that's where you're here. You're here for somebody to cheer you on and to help propel you to be as awesome as you can be. But I also want to be able to demonstrate what it's like to try and push forward through harder days, through days where maybe it's been a really rough week for depression or anxiety. Maybe you haven't been able to exercise and that's been helping to spin stuff out of control. Maybe you've got other stuff happening in your life that is impacting your ability to take care of yourself safely. That all happens, absolutely. Sometimes it's really hard and it really sucks to feel like you are trying to wrestle your way through these interactions with yourself. It really sucks. And I always want you to remember that it's okay, you will always be able to get back to the things that you were trying to do. Having a day or a week or a month where it's a lot harder, all right, everybody back to those cross jacks, does not mean that you failed, and it does not mean that you're never going to get back to what you're trying to do. It just means that you need a little extra help, you need a little extra time, and that's okay. They said to themselves, look, this is something that is so hard. It is so hard to remember. It is so hard not to get judgmental at ourselves and to blame ourselves and to try and shame ourselves into doing the things that we feel like we're supposed to be doing. And you know what? The fact of the matter is, we say stuff to ourselves that we would never dream of saying to other people, particularly people that we love. We would never bully or shame our friends and loved ones if they were having bad mental health days or rough physical health days. We would never tell them to just suck it up and push through it. So why do we do that to ourselves? I don't know. I don't know why it's so much easier to get down on ourselves. But, I want you to always remember, even if your brain is trying to bully yourself, I want you to have my voice in your head reminding you that you are doing an amazing job. And if things are rough and if you are struggling to get through something that you feel like you should be able to do, that it's okay. All right? It's okay if you don't have the tools that you need right now in that moment to do the thing that you're trying to do. And you will get there, and you've got the support, okay? And that support starts with supporting yourself, all right? And that's why we talk about listening to the signals that our brains and our bodies are sending us. It's hard. It's freaking hard. All right, my friends. Last thing, second to last thing, technically. We're doing some toe squats. Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, 5 minutes of toe squats. And yes, this is a perpetual motion class, so yes, you do need to keep moving the whole time. If you want to take a rest, it has to be an active rest, all right? And you have to do the same number of reps between each set. But we got our feet hip width apart, trying to keep those backs straight up and down. As we squat down, letting the heels naturally come off the floor when they need to, all the way down here, and then standing back up. Again, letting the heels naturally come back down to the floor when we need to, okay? So let's just get that timer going. And again, it's only gonna be 5 minutes. There'll be a horn midway through. At the end, you will need to go back into cross jacks really quickly, just so I can set up the final timer. But yeah, toe squats, because obviously we need to finish out this class with some toe squats, all right? There we go. And again, talking about having the core engaged. Oh my goodness, super important. Super, super important, because we want to make sure that we're able to maintain that balance, that we're not putting too much pressure on the ankles, that we're not dropping down and bouncing hard on the knees, okay? So what we do not want to see is bounce, 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 all right? That's a sign that you let gravity take over, sort of pull you down to the ground, and that's going to put really unhealthy pressures on your knees. It's not going to be good for them. So you want to make sure that you are in control of the motion the whole time. Even if you're doing faster reps like that, you still want to be in control the whole time, okay? So just keep that in mind. Super important to keep in mind. Oh, all right, my friends. This is the last main thing that we're doing for class. The thing that I'm setting up at the end of these 5 minutes, longtime students will of course have guessed that it is, in fact, calf awareness. And that is going to be a great way for us to cool down, get our heart rate back under control, our breath back under control, while also strengthening our calves and our ankles and our shins, okay? So just know that that's what we're going to move into. I'm sure that many of you had already guessed that. So when we get to the end of the toe squats, you go back into the cross jacks just long enough for me to get the timer going, and then we'll do some calf awareness. Now remember, if you want to do sets during these toe squats, you can, but your rest has to be an active one, all right? So if you want to do 20 reps or 25 reps or 50 reps and then take a quick rest, it has to be an active rest. And all right, that's our halfway horn. So an active rest is still going to feel like a little bit of a rest. Not as much as you would hope, obviously, but it will be something different to do with those muscle groups, and that in and of itself can be really helpful, okay? So if you do need to do that, if you don't think that you can maintain the toe squats for the entire 5 minutes, that's fine, all right? Totally fine. Just make sure that you're moving the whole time. That is our goal. This is perpetual motion, baby. This is April Powers. And you know what? We are here to show ourselves how powerful we are. And it's something that can be really easy to forget. And it's something that I always want to remind you of. And you know what? You are powerful whether you got on the mat and you did the entirety of class and never stopped moving, or whether you got on the mat, did the warm-up and said, oh my God, I need to rest, or anything in between, okay? You are still so powerful, and I'm going to show you that over the course of this month, and I'm just really excited. I really like these structures. You know, obviously the thing that is harder for me to do in a class setting is to really work with people deliberately to ramp up their strength and their power, you know. So you can sort of do that on your own, but I don't have as much ability to influence that process. So this really gives us an opportunity to do that process, to really train ourselves deliberately over the course of this month. All right, we've got 30 seconds left. I want you to try your best to do toe squats for the rest of these 30 seconds, okay? You are coming close to the end of class. You do have to go back into those cross checks, but you know what? Your reward is coming. Calf awareness is coming. Some of you may argue with me that that's not a reward. To you, I say, well, fair enough, but it will at least allow you to get your breathing under control a little bit. All right, so finishing up these toe squats, feeling nice and strong, nice and powerful. Back to cross jacks. All right, just long enough for me to get this timer going, and as soon as you hear the horn, I want you to balance flat on one foot, okay? Hey, here we are. All right, so we have the opportunity to take nice deep breaths. And as we deepen our breath and slow our breath down, that's what cues our heart in. That, oh, okay, the lungs are no longer pulling in oxygen at such a furious rate. So that must mean that I don't need to be working as hard to push the oxygen through the body as I was, so I can slow down as well, okay? So just keeping that in mind, that you start with slowing your breath down, and that slows your heart rate down, which helps you to slow your breath down even more, and that's how we reset, settle in, and just sort of breathe and prep. Alrighty? All right, balancing on the other side. So what do we think about when we are doing these balances? Well, we want to make sure that any micro adjustments are happening from the foot and the ankle only. So we want to make sure that everything from the knees up is a nice solid slab of weight and not a bunch of disparate pieces trying to move around. So engage all those stabilizing muscle groups. We start with the core, and then the glute on the standing leg, and then the quads. And that just pulls everything together so that we don't have to worry about things going all over the place and, oh my God, how do I maintain this balance, all right? When the timer goes off again, we switch back to that first foot, but now we will be balancing up on the ball of the foot, okay? So everything I just said still applies, but also recognizing that this is much more complicated, okay? So there will be more wobbling around. You may get up there and then go, okay, I don't think I can hold that. When you feel that, rather than just letting yourself fall out of the balance, I really want you, so from up here, and I'm like, okay, I'm about to lose it, bring that heel down, deliberately, reset, and bring yourself back up, okay? Because that is also going to help strengthen that quad, or not quad, calf. You know, just the act of coming up onto the balls of the feet and then coming down is helping to strengthen the calves. So you may not be able to maintain the balance for the whole time, but you can still strengthen. All right, other side. All the same things apply. One of the things to pay attention to is what is the surface that you are on. So I have these puzzle pieces, yeah? They're like an inch thick at least and very flexible, which means, frankly, it's not an easy surface to balance on. So you will notice me when we do these sequences, if I have to reset, you'll notice me shuffle around on my mat, and that is because I'm trying to find a flatter portion of the mat that hasn't been depressed under the weight of my foot. Whether or not that actually helps, I'm not sure, but makes me feel better. All right, when the timer goes off again, we go back to that first foot, and now we're moving. We're rocking up onto the ball of the foot and then back onto the heel, but all in that balance, all right? So back to that first foot, we go up on the ball, back on the heel, up on the ball, back on the heel, and we just go back and forth like that. Check in on those stabilizing muscle groups, particularly the core. It's easy to lose track of them as we move through this sequence and then wonder why we're having so much more trouble maintaining the balance. And if you check back in and you engage those muscles, I am pretty confident that you'll go, oh, that was the problem. So when we're doing this movement like this, this adds yet another element of complexity to the balance. So one thing that you can do to help stabilize yourself is find a focus point. Find something to focus on, to stare at, an unmoving point far ahead of you on the floor or maybe on the wall. All right, other side, same thing. And we just stare at that, and that helps to ground us, okay? So that we're not moving all over the place, because if your eyes are wandering all over the place, that's going to make it harder for you to maintain that stability while you're doing this moving balance, okay? It's a trick that dancers use, particularly when they're doing turns. So if I'm trying to turn myself all the way across the floor, if I'm just sort of letting my eyes travel the full 360 with me the whole time, I'm going to get dizzy really quickly. So I focus on a single point and I keep my eyes on it as long as I can, and then I flip my head around as quickly as I can and find that point again. So it's a similar principle. All right, now both feet on the floor. We are rocked back up on our heels, and we are just staying like this until the final timer goes off. So balance as much as you can. When you feel like you're going to fall out of it, don't. Just walk around on the heels, okay? Those toes should not come back down to the floor until that final horn. Again, check in on that core, make sure it's engaged, helping you to balance. You have gotten through an hour of class. You are an absolute badass. You have kicked off April Powers in a beautiful way, and now we're just bringing ourselves back down to earth and relaxing. 10 seconds left. Yeah, the shins are probably feeling really intense. Don't forget to breathe. Breathing is important. And holding that balance. And good job. Good job, my friends. Oh, wow. Yeah. Well done. Well done, everybody. Welcome to April Powers. I'm sorry that I was not able to do class with you as fully as I had hoped to today. Yeah, that sucks. It sucks when you don't have the ability to go as intensely as you want to. But listening to myself now and not trying to push through is going to make it easier for me to get back to exercising more fully tomorrow, okay? And that's the thing, right? A lot of times we're trained to ignore what our bodies and our brains are telling us and to try and just like muscle through. And when we do that, frankly, we open ourselves up to injury or to overtraining. And that in the long run is going to get in the way of our fitness journey far more than being like, I cannot go as intensely today as I wanted to, you know? Listening to ourselves today is going to allow us to keep moving and keep training tomorrow, okay? Whereas trying to push through today and ignore what our bodies and brains are saying could lead to us, you know, having to recuperate for a month or 2 months or 6 months, you know? And that always really sucks. That really sucks. And it can feel really demoralizing, especially when you then start to get back into the swing of things. So it's so hard, but it is so important to listen to what our bodies are telling us, to not try to be the hero and just be like, no, I can push through that nausea. I can push through that pain. I can push through that exhaustion, okay? Listen to yourself. And if you get good at that, then you will have a long and active life ahead of you, and that will be really awesome. All right, my friends, I am going to turn off the stream, I think, because I'm definitely feeling worn and I didn't even really do anything, but I'm gonna take the rest of the night and try and relax and drink lots of water. And you definitely need to do the same. Make sure you are finishing off that water and refilling it. Make sure that you have a plan to get yourself some food. So we got 3 more classes this week. Yes, regular schedule. Fingers crossed that no unexpected world events happen. Damn it. So tomorrow at 4:30 Mountain Time, because all my classes are in Mountain Time. I don't know why that took me a second to remember. Whoo! My brain today, my loves. Tomorrow, Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Mountain Time is Jump Around, our weekly cardio class. Then Friday at 6 p.m. is Functional Home Fitness, where we do weight training using objects you can find around the house. And then Saturday morning at 9 a.m. is the weekend kickoff, our awesome strength and stamina focused body weight class. It will be the beginning of April Powers programming for every single one of those classes. So definitely come to any or all of them. It's going to be the start of a really exciting month of training, and I'm really thrilled to be kicking this off with you all. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All of those handles will be in my end cards, but they are all variations on Blanche Case Fitness. My YouTube channel is where I upload all the VODs from these streams, so you never have to miss a class, even if you can't make the live cast, so definitely head over there and subscribe. If you want to help support me financially in making these streams, I do have a Ko-fi account for one-time donations at Blanche Case Fitness, or you can subscribe to this channel if you have the desire and ability to support me in the longer term. Your donations and support are always very much appreciated. And if you want to help me keep growing this channel and this community, then please tell your friends, loved ones, coworkers, anyone looking for an awesome class. I stream 4 days a week. We have a wonderful group of people here. We're going to be kicking ass through April and throughout the rest of 2021. We're taking care of ourselves. We're taking care of each other. It's a great time. So yeah, lots of great things ahead, my friends. Tonight, I'm going to go relax and just take care of myself. And I want you to do the same. So make sure to hydrate, make sure to refuel, especially if you're planning on coming to class tomorrow. Make sure to be kind to yourself. Pat yourself on the back for being here. And I will see you all back here again tomorrow. Mwah. Have a great night.